Hey, what's up? What's up? So today we're going to be talking about Chocolate Empire, the Chocolate Empire. All the 10 episodes are now available on Showmax. We've been waiting like for 10 weeks to see the full show. In fact, I promised that I was never going to review this show until I saw all the 10 episodes. So if I was to give this show out of 5, I would give this a 4 out of 5. I think it's a very decent show. It's a very well shot show. It's a beautiful looking show. The wardrobe is one of the I love the wardrobe in this particular show, and also the story in itself. Yes, you've seen it before, but the approach to twists and turns. This feels like a soap opera. You know, this feels like a crime drama, but it's more of a soap opera. So generally, if I was to now look at some of the things that work, like I mentioned, number one was the wardrobe, because the wardrobe is not the wardrobe for the sake of the wardrobe. Yeah, the wardrobe is utilized to actually help in visual storytelling, differentiating between the JBs who are, opulence, and then the Margaret, who are now the poor, the people who are struggling. And you see that stark difference between wealth and poverty. But it's not like poverty. It's like middle class poverty. Because they live in a, in a very good estate, but the JB family are totally on a different level. So the wardrobe does a great job differentiating between the two. And the other thing that the wardrobe does very well, especially with characters like Muli, before we talk about the chocolate, is that you see her progression through the costumes. Because if you are to look at her in the first 3 episodes and look at her in the last 3 episodes, after spice is introduced, after a bit of spice is introduced into her life, you will notice that she totally becomes something different in terms of just the outfit. In fact, one of my favorite outfits in the show, the outfit that went like, wow, she looks beautiful, was like in episode 10 where she's wearing a gray or blue shirt, and then a brown dress and brown boots when she goes to confront JB at his place. I thought that was a very beautiful outfit. She looked very, very beautiful. And there are moments like that, a lot of moments like that, that you actually appreciate the wardrobe, what the wardrobe department did, and makeup. What they did with Jackie Kaboy is incredible because she looks classy. You don't need to be told that she's one of those. I'm sure you've met people like her. You've met those swanky women who just look like class. So they transformed her into that, and then they transformed Sanaipe Tande into the kind of mother that you see. And Angie Magoi, who is Subira, totally transform her. If you look at Sanaipe and Angie, they look like women from the churches. And also, if you look at Moniki, he looks like a pastor. So the makeup and the makeup and wardrobe did a fantastic job. The other thing now, if you take that and now you add good cinematography, and most of the time you're following JB, who is Jimmy Gathu, and he's dressed so well. He looks like a character from a Guy Ritchie film. If you've never seen a Guy Ritchie film, they usually focus a lot on the outfit. If you watch any of his movies, you'll notice how men are dressed in his movies. They're very, very, high class, swanky, sophisticated. And you get that with characters like JB. And you also get that differentiation between. You can also see that with Muli, the people that are around Muli. If you look at JB and you look at Peter, who are both, let me just call them love interests, because I don't want to spoil it for people, but yeah, you look at one side that is interacting with Muli, Peter, the way he looks like, the way he dresses, and then you look at the other side, who is Jimmy Gathu, and how he looks, even how he behaves, even his personality when dealing with Muli. You see the difference in personality and how the wardrobe helps with that. So I was talking about the cinematography. The club scenes look awesome. They're atmospheric, fog machine, and then you have lights, and then they create these good-looking effects with lights. So you have a lot of that, and they look, as I said, atmospheric because there's that just feel of stuffiness when you go there, because they're always dark. The offices are always brown, and there's a lot of wood. And then there's now the lighting is very deliberate in showing a lot of shadows, and then you get now to see the reds and the blues when you enter now the chocolate factory. This story follows escorts. Yeah, so it's a very raunchy show, and you have the escorts, again, going back to the wardrobe, who look like escorts, and you have an environment that actually treats them like escort, gives you that, brothel kind of vibe. Not that I've been in one, but if I was to think of a brothel, that's how it would look like, because it makes a lot of sense with that particular look. And now when you switch to Margaret's home, it's much more colorful. If you switch to JB's home, it's much more colorful, it's alive. And we are still on cinematography. I would like to talk about how they treated their locations, because they did some very, very smart things with blending in two different locations into one to make it feel like one, especially JB's home. There's something that they did that I thought was very, very interesting, because they blended different locations and made it look like a single location. Margaret's home, I think they also did the same thing, because it's in Buruburu, but the interior looks kind of different. But I appreciated it. It's very colorful. It just feels full of life, and you don't have a lot of shadows. So that's the cinematography. The performances are pretty good, actually. This movie stars Jimmy Gathu and Muli, Amali Chopeta, who's Mona. Mona is the lead. Mona manages all the other chocolates, the escorts. Then you have Sanepe Tande, you have Moniki Mangeria, who's the pastor. You have Alex Kamau, Alex with a K-S. You have Kyle Njiha, you have Makena Kahuha, who I think is typecast. I don't know why. Maybe she likes it, I don't know. Derek Bang, you have Angie Magio. By the way, Makena Kahuha has been really doing stuff. Lately she's been doing a lot of things. She's in Sugar, she was in Subterranea. She also did her own solo play performance. Yeah, she's just everywhere. Angie Magio, there is Michael Sanuri, who plays Peter. Linda Yangi and Kennedy Musumba. Linda Yangi and Kennedy Musumba have like some of the funniest moments. Then you have Jackie Kaboy, who's beautiful in this. She's absolutely stunning. Then you have Mumbi Maina, who was given a very interesting role. Then you have A.C. Tonga, then ecstatic music. So very good actors, very good performances. Mumbi Maina, at first she was cringy. I thought she was out of place. I was even like, what are these directors doing? Insignia, what? Felipe and Grace Kahika, what the hell are you doing with this? She's a great actor. Why are you not doing anything with her? Then something happens, which is a very interesting cameo. Someone pops up and then something happens to that person, and then now everything changes. Everything changes for Jimmy, a Jimmy that I thought, I didn't believe in him. I didn't think this role was meant for him. I thought this was meant for Moniki, because in my head, with the little work that I've created, in my head I could see how Moniki could be the best JB. But then you get now to episode 3 and 4, where something happens. You see Mumbi Maina come to life. You see the difference between that cringy character that you are following. I wouldn't call it cringy, it's campy. She's very campy. Then you realize that, wait, that was not exactly that. That was something totally different. She was doing that because it was a part of something else. And then you get to see her, what she was meant to be, what the vision that the directors had. And then now you get to a person like Jimmy Gathu. You have that moment, and I was like, Jimmy Gathu is that guy who's trying to be a mysterious character. So in the first 3 episodes, I'm like, I can't buy this. You're trying to be mysterious, and there's nothing special with that. That's even lazy. You don't have to do a lot of expressions. You don't have to have a lot of intense moments. Yes, you can do a bit of facial expressions, but you don't have, you're not forced. You're not forced to actually push your performance. But then you get to episode 4. If you guys have watched Hit, starring De Niro and Al Pacino, you remember the cafe scene when the two actors are seated down having a conversation. You also have something like that with Jimmy Gathu and Sanepe Tande. The only difference is that unlike Hit, they don't have an exchange, like a proper exchange of words. It's more of Jimmy Gathu trying to convince Sanepe about something. But Sanepe's response is more body language, her expressions. When he says something, there's a way that she will look at the side, or she'll look away. That will tell you everything you need to know about how she feels about that particular statement. So you have a scene that forces now Jimmy Gathu to step outside that I'm trying to be a mysterious character. And that's when I went like, oh, I see what the directors were trying to do. I see what Akina Philip was trying to do. I see what Akina Grace Kahika were trying to do. And now apart from that, when you go to, I'll talk about Anne. When you go to the chocolates, in their performances, again, they were very campy, sometimes cringy. But then as you move on to the second half of the season, things start coming out. You start learning more about them. You start learning JB coming back, what it means. You start learning about their love lives, especially with someone like Mumbi Maina. There's time that they have a conversation. Because you need to remember that these are not just escorts. They are high-end escorts. Someone like Mumbi is like a top chocolate. You know, she's like a premium chocolate. Then you get to hear these chocolates talk behind the scenes, talk about what they're going through. You get to see some of their clients. You get to see some of the people that they have to sleep with. And that now gives you a brief idea of how dark this particular world is. It's a dirty world. Yes, you have a lot of Nyash because it's insignia. They have to just slap you with Nyash every once in a while. There's a scene that Muli walks into a room. I mean Lily walks into a room and boom, Nyash everywhere. Not Nyash everywhere. Something is happening. Yeah, and they shot it very well. It's very provocative. It's very, yeah. I was impressed with how they were able to manage that particular scene, how they were able to shoot it. Because even the actor's reaction, when that character turns around, I was like, oh, god damn. Anyway, as I was saying, the performances are great. The chocolates actually do a great job. Akina McKenna. I can't remember all the other actors. There's Vera. Vera is Mumbi Maina. There's Amelie. There's Amelie who's Mona, who manages all the other chocolates. And I like how she was able to look like a manager, actually look like a competent manager. She can be stern, understanding, and strict at the same time. I like her performance. Mumbi Maina, as I said, she's far more complex than what you see in the first 4 episodes, actually 3 episodes. Because when she pops in, you go like, come on, man. But as you go, things get complicated and you learn about her. Then now there's all the other chocolates, which include Akina McKenna. There's someone I'm forgetting, Akina McKenna, and how they just now give you an idea about that world. Yeah, there's all this glamour that has been presented, but there's a world, there's something darker here that you don't actually see. I loved how they were able to handle that. Now, to one of my favorite actors in the show, Anne Muli and Jackie Kaboy. Yeah, Jackie Kaboy is, she's beautiful. She looks very beautiful. And the makeup and, wow, the makeup team and the wardrobe team did a fantastic job with her. But then she plays this swanky, sophisticated, wealthy woman. And she captures that very, very well. Even when you go home, even when you get to that scene when she visits Mike. Mike is JB's best friend. But something happened somewhere. And so you get a scene where she visits Mike's office for the second time. And something happens, which threw me off because I didn't expect it, but it was shot very well. I was like, remove these things in the front. What are you doing? Remove these things. I want to see everything. But yeah, that scene, I think, was very bold, taking it there. And then you get to see the composed, very complex woman doing these other things, but still handling herself with that touch of class. I thought she did a great job with that. I thought she did a very good job with scenes like that. And now when you put her in the same room with JB and the drama between both of them, and then you add those 2 kids, it gets very, very interesting. And as a sophisticated mom, it makes sense. And you get that thing. If you have a brother or sister, apart from the brother-sister rivalry, there is that aspect of moms and sons and fathers and daughters. There's a touch of that. Yes, at some point they kind of all have a sit down and kind of, agree to be a good family. But generally you have that, the mom leans toward one side and the dad leans towards the other side. So I thought that was pretty good. So, as I was saying, Jackie Kaboy, put her with Jimmy Gathu, very interesting. Put her with the son, very, very interesting. And Muli loved her. Why? It's not because of her performance in terms of line delivery. it's her performance in her poses. In fact, if you watch the show and you see the first 3 episodes, how she poses or stands around people, and then you go to now the other half when a bit of spice is sprinkled, you see that her poses change. Her poses totally change, and that's an effect of whatever happens to her. But then, even with these changes as they happen, with the poses and the looks and how her attitude totally transforms, there are some points you can still see that lily that cuts across, the lily that you are introduced to the church. Somehow you can see that character across all episodes, even when she is evolving. And the thing that I liked about her evolution, how Muli was able to deliver this. I've seen a lot of movies that you see characters evolve, their arc take them a particular direction, they transform. But usually see very hard cuts within moments of transformation. You'll see a character, this has happened, and then they're like, no, and then they instantly transform. Or the next scene, they've totally become someone else. Or you see them gradually become someone else, but you're not convinced. You know what's happening. You understand that, oh, she's transforming because of this. But Muli, there's a natural feel to her transformation, because I was looking at her and I could not tell when the transformation is happening. I will just find myself, she has already become an employee. Oh, after becoming an employee, oh, now they are with Mumbi Maina. Oh, damn, now the spice has been added. And now suddenly, and I don't feel like, yes, the motivation is clear. I don't have that feeling of no, this feels unnatural. This progression feels unnatural. And it's more in how she was able to deliver without saying stuff. For example, she walks into JB's office, they have a conversation about something. She moves from, yes, I'm here to see you like a boss, or we are having this moment, and then from total disgust and anger in a flip of less than a minute. That I loved. And that's how, I don't know, there's just something about her. She's able to walk in and out of some complex moments, but still maintaining that core that we were introduced to. And I thought her posture communicated a lot as she becomes whatever she becomes, and her confidence with time, because the show does a great job understanding her motivation and every other person's motivation. You understand where they're coming from, you understand why they're doing what they're doing and why they need to do what they're doing. Jimmy Gathu, I wish there was more to it. Not just, I need to take care of you guys. No, I wish there was something more to it. I wish there was an external drive that was making him do whatever he was doing. So yeah, those are some of the things that I liked. I liked the fact. I also liked there are a lot of recognizable things, like the pastries. The pastries, I was like, yeah, that's a Kenyan thing. Yes, I know we have pastries all over the world, but there's a touch that we put on our pastries that make them recognizable. So seeing the packaging and how they were made up, I was like, that is so familiar, and I immediately connected it. I was like, this show is home. And then the locations, there's somewhere they went, I was like, damn, nostalgia. This is a moment Subira and Margaret were walking from the church, and you see particular houses in the background. I was like, damn, pure nostalgia. But apart from that, I thought the show was put together very well. There are a lot of things that I also liked in terms of story. I like how they treated Peter as a character, because if this was given to a different director, they would have taken that character in one particular direction. But I thought they gave him a very good closure. Let me just put it that way. They gave him a very satisfying ending. Yes, it's twisted in a way, and it's kind of, is it unfair for Anne? No, I don't think it's unfair. I think I was like, yo, bro, as long as you're happy, man, me, I'm good. I thought they did something fantastic with him. I did not think they would take Margaret where they took her. Yes, I suspected it at one point. After they have that sitting with Jimmy Gathu, I suspected it. But I did not expect they would take it that far. So apart from that now, are there some things that I did not like? What have I left out? Yes, there is the sound, the music. There's a sound that I associate with anime during epic moments. And it was used during prayer moments when when Margaret was playing, they played this sound in the background, and I was like, good stuff. I just instantly love it. So there are smaller moments like that, how they use music. I like the establishing shots with the wine and the top down of Nairobi Road with a blue matatu, but it's repetitive. Yeah, I know it's a TV show thing, but I wish they would have like 20 different establishing shots or 40 different establishing shots, and they use a variety. Because every time I saw that, I was with the rising sun, I was like, come on, guys. I understand what you're trying to do. I understand you're trying to make this familiar, some things familiar. If I see the sun, I know that I'm going into a house. But I wish they would have just had variety of establishing shots. So the ADR is okay, yeah, and this now goes into the negatives. Sometimes it spikes. Characters will be talking normally, and then you'll go to a different scene and you'll hear a spike of the volume, and then you'll want to reduce it. Then you want to reduce your volume, and then you go to the next scene, and it will be okay. So you had moments like that. Generally, the script, the Kiswahili is awesome. Akina Margaret, Akina Pastor, Akina Subira. When Margaret is talking to the daughters, Akina and Muli, Lily, and Linda, I love that. I love the dialogue. It feels like banter. It feels natural. It feels real. And this also goes into Sanaipe's performance because she feels like that person. She fully embodied Margaret. She became that person. And when she's talking to all these other people, you feel the naturalness of what she delivers. The thing now I had an issue with is the English part of the dialogue, because it feels, first of all, there's that space you usually get between, where are you going? I am going out. This is more of, where are you going? I'm going out. You see that small microsecond gap between responses. There's a lot of that here. I was surprised. Yes, the editing is good. There's actually a scene whereby there's a scene whereby Margaret is praying about her daughter, and then they superimpose a scene with her daughter doing whatever she's doing. So I like what they were able to do with that. There are other moments that they do some clever editing, especially around Mr. Wambua and Linda Yagi's character. You know, when they're doing their thing, there's some good shots and editing that they actually apply to some even intense scene when Margaret discovers some things. I thought there was some, when Margaret discovers something to do with Mr. Wambua, and I thought there were some good edits, but generally there's like a gap between people talking, dialogue, where someone says something, there's a microsecond gap, and then someone responds. And I thought that, especially with the English dialogue, and then the English dialogue feels like it's scripted. It feels like it's written. It feels like these people are talking like they're talking in a TV show. They're not talking like they're talking in the natural world. Yes, they try to make the language sound that way, but it does not land. The Swahili parts work. In fact, there's a scene that Subira and Margaret are having a conversation in an office. Very natural. Even their response, very, very natural, their delivery. But I would look at JB, for example, having a conversation with Mike sometimes, and I would be like, okay, you're performing it very well, but I can see the script. There are moments that Mike would have conversation with Jackie Marie, and I would go like, this feels unnatural. It doesn't feel like these two. Yes, they're sophisticated, they're uptown, but they don't feel like ordinary people. Yeah, so the script I had an issue with, the edit I had an issue with, and because of that, I kind of felt the length. I kind of felt the length of the shows. There are moments that I feel, yes, the drama, especially when you go from episode 5 to 10, it's so good. Yeah, there's so many things happening. You'll have a whiplash. There's so much Nyash, because this again is insignia. So much Nyash slapped on your face, so much Nyash on the screen. But I was like, yeah, it's much better, but still you can feel that weight of the pacing. Yeah, I hope you get it. I'm just talking about what I noted. The other thing, there is music, there is smaller background noise, especially in the club, but there's no proper sound design. There's no proper sound design. Sound design is everything outside dialogue and music. ambient noise. You guys go watch Tuasanda. Maybe you get what I'm saying. No, don't watch, listen to Tuasanda. Play it, but don't watch it, just listen to it. Now, the other smaller things that I had an issue with, because everything else will be in my article. The other smaller things that I had an issue with, there's a very, I thought there were smaller missed opportunities. But this is in terms of just story. Because this is exactly what we know. And now I'm going to talk about Showmax. The other smaller things, there's a moment with the brother and sister when JB, because the show establishes the kind of person the brother is and the kind of sister the sister is, but you have like a moment where they have a sit down and they try to become cool. But there's a moment they are seated in the sofa, JB and the wife are having a conversation with the wife, Ukoju, and then I got a missed opportunity whereby I thought that scene would have worked if, after the daughter tells the brother about the mom, the brother would just hug her, bring her close and tell her everything is going to be okay. You don't have to worry. I'm here for you. I got you. You don't have to worry about anything, no matter what happens. You know why that would be important? Because you've already established the kind of person that the brother is. You would go to now create that moment whereby the audience gets to see a different side of the brother. Like, yes, he's an asshole, but when things get actually extremely thick, when things get a bit complex, there's actually a good person inside there. There's a sibling who cares, So I thought that was a missed opportunity. Now, the biggest problem I had with this show, and this is where now I start talking about Showmax, is that, this is the same thing, man. I've seen this before. It's too many times. Yes, it's treated like a soap opera. Yes, the opening title sequence is awesome. It's a bit of Bond, a bit of soap opera. You have a very good posing, and then you have the characters pop up with their names. Then you have show marks on the gun. I thought, then you have the silhouette of the ladies. I thought that was pretty cool. I love the opening title sequence. The white chocolate empire, it's very well designed. There's a lot of thought that were put into that. And then you get that. But after you go in, yes, there's the drama, there's the soap opera-ness. Yes, there's all these things that are happening. Yes, there's Nyash everywhere. But still the same thing. Yeah, it's the same drama. There's just a lack of a creative touch. And this is not saying that Insignia is not able to do that. Insignia is very much able to do that. I think we've seen it. Here's the thing about comfort food. Here's the thing about bread. You can serve people the same bread that you get in the supermarket, mass produced for the masses, or you can get home baked bread in the supermarket. It's still bread, but it's homemade. It's special. It's made with care. There are some aspects about the bread that makes it different from this bread that is designed for the masses, that people will eat for breakfast and they will not complain about it because it's just bread. But sometimes, every now and then, you need to throw in some homemade bread. Basically, what I'm trying to say, you need to throw in some things that are a bit more creative. Unfortunately for me, I watched Chocolate Empire and then watched Bobo, still on Showmax, and it's the same thing. I was watching Bobo and I was like, what's the difference? You have Pepeta here and you have Bobo. What's the difference? It's the same exact thing. Slum story, talented person having to go through a lot and somehow, beating the odds. It's like a ghetto fairy tale. And I'm like, it's the same exact thing. You can go on Showmax, and in terms of African production, you will find something that is closer. You'll find something that is close to Chocolate Empire. Why? Are you guys short of ideas? You know where to find me. Look for me. And I'm not talking ideas. I'm not saying that you should change a story into something different. You should create big visual effects. No, I'm not talking about that. It's just that small perspective, that small change in how you approach, for example, crime drama. You can add small aspect about it. There are 12 genres in this world. You can use them, you can utilize them to actually tell your crime drama. You can actually push these people that you commission to make this production, to do something with their production. You can say, I want this to be an alien, low budget alien story. Yeah, you have the drama, you have Akina JB, you have Akina Lily, but I want you to find a way of making it an alien story without diverting from the fact that this is a soap opera. Yeah, encourage people to be creative. If you're having an issue, you know where to find me, because I'm just going to be honest with you. Streaming for me is comfort food, but I don't like my comfort food the same. I don't like eat always comfort. I don't have like fries always as comfort food. No, I'll have a burger. You know, I'll have a donut. Then I'll have maybe fries. You know, and if I have fries, it's not just the same all fries. You know, I'll have maybe fries that have something done to them. I'll have maybe fries with a bit of cheese. You know, it's not just the same. I'll have wedges in terms, it's still fries, but it's wedges. You know, just something different, just a different touch to what you guys put out. Even if it's meant to be, oh my gosh, these are reality shows, man. I know you have an audience, and I know this is what data is telling you, but sometimes you need to encourage these people to be creative. I watched a reality show about men being single and picking a wife, trying to pick a wife, and it's from Kenya, and I was petrified. Yeah, it's terrible. I won't mention the show because I know some creators may be watching this. It's absolute garbage. I never even reviewed it because I wanted to review it because one of the producers actually got in touch and she was like, yo, dudes, you watch this and talk about it. I watched it and I was not impressed at all. If I was to actually write a review about it, I would bash it. I would totally destroy that thing because it's not even meant for Showmax. It's meant for YouTube. Anyway, if you know where to find me, if you want to adjust a few things, look for me. Look, ask them to get a bit creative, and if you don't know how to actually do it, if you don't know your way around about how to actually make unique, the same old but unique production, look for me, please. So basically that's it. This is a 4. Remember to always watch what you enjoy. I know I've not done a lot of reviews of late. That's because I'm working on something, so I need to learn a different program, and it's been a rough ride. It's been a hectic ride. I've not even had time. Anyway, those are my problems. But yeah, in the next 2 weeks, I'll be back into reviewing film. Hopefully, I'll have grasped I'll have understood whatever I'm trying to do. And then as you go on, maybe you'll see a bit of what I'm developing. I hope I'll be able to complete it. I hope that you people will be able to experience it because it's something totally special. But basically, that's it. Thanks for watching this. Chocolate Empire, go catch it. Showmax, do better. And basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy. And by the way, it's not just about Showmax. I think Netflix should be inside here too, because Netflix also have the same habit whereby they focus on data so much that they forget everything. You know, Netflix, I would look at streaming right now as the phone industry. All phones function, all phones are cool, but almost all phones look the same. You know, they are boring, they're not creative, because data shows that people love big phones. So you don't need to make small phones. You have people carrying slabs around, and now they cannot carry small phones because data says that. Data is not bad, but sometimes you need to stop and actually just try to do something different. The filmmaking and TV shows is a creative expression. Fully embrace it, stop being shy. Anyway, basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy. I'll stop being a snob in terms of creative expressions. So basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy and enjoy what you watch. I shall see you on the next one.